So that's how our 2025 started. How's yours going?
Oh yeah, that was a little me making coffee and you coming in sheepishly going,
We've got a problem.
there's a slight problem.
Yeah.
And then us going and pulling, there was so much water in that cupboard.
There was. So if you aren't aware of what's going on, our boiler is leaking, and if you've been following us for a little bit, you might have noticed we've started to make noises that we're going to start to do some renovation in the house. The boiler has forced us to start a bit earlier, like now.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is the big to-do list.
We have been threatening our big to-do list. Let's go and get started, shall we? So whilst past me is getting a drink and getting ready to show you the rest of the house, I thought Editor Me would have a little chat and explain what we're doing. We were caught slightly unawares by the boiler just breaking, so once we'd put the buckets in place, we just picked up the camera and started recording, because it seemed as good a time as any to introduce our house to you. But with that said, I should also introduce us. We are Issa and Blaise, and this is our home. We make intentional living and homemaking videos, and we had always planned for this year to be a home renovation year. But perhaps a more planned one than this video turned out to be. So this video is the start of that journey. So we thought that today we would take you on a little tour of our home and show you the kind of things that need sorting out so that you have an idea of what to expect. So obviously the boiler is our first priority, and we figured that while the boiler is being fixed, we may as well start our renovations in the cupboard that it lives in. It's absolutely fine in here, but this cupboard does a lot for us and we store a lot of things in it, which is why the rest of the house is in such chaos. But the inside of this cupboard just is not the nicest place. It's seen a lot of changes over the years, and there are holes in the wall where water tanks used to live and different types of heat tools were. There's even some burnt areas where there was clearly a problem at some point in its life. And the main point of this renovation project is that we want our home to be a lovely intentional space for us to live in, and that includes making things like cupboards nice, especially cupboards like this that have to work so hard. So expect to see progress on this soon. But right now, let's head back to myself and Blaise for the next room, the kitchen. So this is the kitchen, which if you watch our channel for a little bit, you will have seen a lot, but you won't really have seen it.
Oh, this room has such a myriad of problems.
It does. Like, you might notice some of them in our cleaning videos, but not all of them. Not because we hide them, it's that we can't really do anything about them, so we tend to kind of ignore them.
We're good at that one.
We do ignore them. So should we have a look and see what the problems are?
So you guys are probably glad that this is not smell-o-vision, because in these cupboards here, yeah, this smells of mould. The wall behind this cupboard is mouldy, and there's not much we can do about it without ripping out the kitchen.
No, and that is definitely a problem in an area where you make food. It is not ideal.
It is not.
So on the list is basically to rip out the entire kitchen, work out what's wrong with the mould problem and the damp, because there's water coming from somewhere, we just don't know where, and then replace it after drying everything out. Yep. But that's a long-term goal because that's expensive.
That's a new kitchen.
That's a new kitchen,
so basically the problem with this room is everything and we need a new one.
Yeah.
This has been a problem for a while. We have no idea how to fix this. We just let it drip onto the mummy so that it doesn't make noise. Because that's really annoying and now everyone needs to pee. So this is our solution.
Yeah, everyone thought we had a scrub mummy there because it was useful. No, it's a stop dripper thing.
It's a drip catcher.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is my office. Again, first glance, not too bad other than being a bit messy right now. Needs a little bit of a redecoration and the light doesn't work. Minor problem. But the big problem is behind us.
Yep, so as you can see it's a little bit black mouldy. Not ideal working conditions.
No, definitely not good. The mould is actually relatively new. The damp problem has been there a while.
Yeah.
So it's getting worse.
It's definitely been getting worse with how much wet
it's been raining a lot.
It's been raining a lot. So
we suspect this problem is outside, so should we go to head outside and have a look?
So as you can see, here's the problem. So like here and a bit over there, and there's a whole bunch of them all at the top, is we have holes in our mortar. This all needs to be repointed in like little bits here and there.
So the mortar is definitely something we all need to fix, and we'll also need to check if there are any other problems that might be causing the damp in the house. Most of the house isn't damp at all, it just feels it right now because the boiler's leaking everywhere. But there does seem to be an issue with just one side of the house because the kitchen and the office are both next to each other, and it seems to be just two walls in both rooms. So there's clearly something going on. But while we're outside, let's have a look at the garden, which is one of my sources of shame for the house. I can't tell you how much I want this garden to be nice. I'd like to grow some things and just make it a really lovely place to be. Last year we just gave up trying with it, and we did a bit of an experiment and left it to go wild for the year just to see what would happen. It was great for us at the time, but I think now we've probably got a bigger problem. Hopefully we can make some progress this year with it, but I'm not too sure as we might have to make the house a priority first. We also do have these couple of outbuildings here, and they need a lot of work too. Like, they're fine, they're sound, they work, but they're not really working for us. And then things like the door needs replacing. And one of these is an actual outside loo, which I suspect when this house was built might have been the only loo available. This house actually isn't hugely old, I think probably only about 60-70 years, but it was still at a time when I think inside plumbing was really quite new, and a lot of houses, especially houses like this that were small and meant for working families, probably didn't have that yet. So we still have a really ancient loo out here, and it's still plumbed in, it still works. We obviously don't use it because we do have plumbing inside the house now. So we want to get this all ripped out and do something properly with it. But anyway, let me know what you think and what you would do with all of this space, because I'm really curious, because I don't really know what to do. And then once we've had a good look at the garden, we'll head inside and check out the living room, which is another room you've probably already seen a lot of.
So, the living room, really not too bad. It's a redecorated here not too long ago, so the painting is great. Couple of small problems, such as you've probably been wondering why we tend to use candles to heat the room instead of the fireplace. So this is because when I moved in, I did not have the fireplace checked, and
it's a gas fire.
We still haven't had the gas fire checked, and we don't like talking to people, so we still haven't used it. We should probably get that fixed and add that to the list. Another minor inconvenience, the light doesn't work. It used to, it stopped. So we just don't use it anymore. We've got some really nice uplighting all over the place, and that looks really nice and lovely. So we just don't use the main light. We should probably get that looked at too. Other than that, this room is fine. Other than all of the safety issues that we may or may not have in this room is fine.
Upstairs, and there are far fewer problem areas up here, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. The hallway itself is functional, but it is a little tired now, so the carpets do need replacing and it needs a redecorate, which goes for the whole of the upstairs really. We do want to make sure that this time we decorate each room properly and really take the time to think about it. But for the most part, from here on out, it's mostly cosmetic things that we need to worry about. For the most part, there are a couple of bigger things. So in the hallway, we have quite a few areas where there's holes in the ceiling, holes in the wall, smoke detectors that aren't fitted properly, that sort of thing. Or areas where smoke detectors used to be and now aren't because we've moved them, but not really filled the holes. And one of the bigger problems is the loft hatch, which doesn't actually work as a loft hatch anymore. The loft upstairs has been boarded over, so it's all floorboards up there now. I'll show you the new entrance in a minute because that's also quite a big problem that does need sorting. But for now, you can see there's just a lot of holes to fill in here and there and a lot of things that are just finishing jobs. I feel like this has been one of those homes that has been well loved and well used, but it's always been a little bit of a make do and mend house. There are lots of DIY jobs that were never finished or that were finished badly, dating back from way before we lived here. So we have decades of unfinished projects to deal with that were problems for previous owners too, and in the decade that we've been here, we haven't done anything about them either. But we are now, and that's what's important. So moving on to Blaze's office, which for the most part is fine. We did do a lot of work here a couple of years ago. It used to be a really tiny bedroom and the plaster on the walls was falling off, so we had to learn how to deal with plaster issues and redecorated it. But as with everything in the house, we didn't quite get it finished. Namely, the massive hole in the ceiling. Whoever put the floorboards in the loft made this entrance here, but it's never been turned into a real loft hatch with a door, so that needs doing really quite badly. For now, we just drag some boards across it to keep the cat out of there, and we can do so much better than that, and it would really make such a difference to this room if we did. But other than some minor redecoration that Blaze wants to do, this room really isn't too bad. And lastly, we have the bedrooms, which are probably the rooms that need the least doing to them. Other than the fact that they are in a complete chaotic mess right now, because when we realised that the boiler cupboard was full of water, we just emptied everything and threw it into the other rooms. We do want to redecorate these rooms, but that might mean doing things like taking chipboards off the wall, replacing skirting boards, all sorts of things like that. And we might need to replaster. We won't know until we start. But we'll see how it goes. And of course, we also need new carpets in these rooms, and we just want to take the time to really consider each space and what would work best for the rooms. We have been thinking of some decor themes for the house, and I'm really quite excited to explore those further. So we'll probably do a video on that when we get the chance to really think about it and think about what we want for the house. But for now, that is our house tour done. We have written all of these jobs and many more down onto what we've started to affectionately call our big to-do list. The plan is that this year we've set aside a small budget each month for house things, and about once a month we want to make an improvement somewhere. Some of these will be small improvements and some of them will be larger. Some we'll have to save up for because buying a new kitchen is going to be a big expense, but we are aiming for a slow, realistic renovation. So make sure you subscribe to keep track of our progress and to see what the house ends up looking like. But in between our renovation videos, which we're aiming to be for about one a month, hopefully, we will still be doing our intentional living, our homemaking videos too. Because while all this renovation is going on, we're still going to have to live here, and we're still going to have to work here, and we still want to be happy. That's one of the reasons that we're aiming for this to be a slow renovation, because we have to take life into account. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon, and I hope you have a lovely day.